Salutations, listeners.
Steve Alice-Vallejo.
Valer Magulis.
Nano. Thank you for tuning in. This is Three Men and a Basement, and we are the Ultra Crepidarians. My name is Colin McLeod.
Mark up here.
Action Jackson.
And in this podcast, the podcast that you're listening to right now.
Wait, right meow?
No, now.
Not then?
No, now. Yes?
What about later?
What about... That's a good question.
This is now.
What's happening then?
You missed it.
When?
Just now. In this podcast, we review movies where we've been known to.
Yeah.
And the movies we review, we aim for the ones that are not, let's say, top tier.
No.
Right? They're not busting blocks. They're not...
Not necessarily middling either.
They're not pulling any tents.
No.
You know, some of them are really good, but, you know.
But we're not doing a Star Wars.
No.
Not a Star Wars.
But we're also not grabbing from the bottom shelf.
No.
Right?
This isn't the Walmart bargain bin.
We're not diving into, like, the heavens well of... Jackson just threw up a little bit in his mouth, and I saw it, and it was glorious. The heavens well of movies, if you will. Instead, we aim for movies that are right in the middle, that sweet spot. Ones that maybe you've heard, maybe you haven't. Maybe somebody told you to watch them once, and you were curious. We watch these movies, we review them, and we deliver to you, the listener, an average schmuck's opinion. We're the schmucks.
It's true.
Three of us schmuckers.
Schmuck.
An average schmuck's opinion about whether or not you need to go out and see these movies.
I think sometimes you should. I think sometimes you really should.
Okay.
I think sometimes you really shouldn't.
I think sometimes, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% maybe.
That's a firm maybe.
Sometimes maybe. It's like a t-shirt right there.
That's a firm maybe. Or what did we say in the other episode? It was that's a stiff maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe?
That's a stiff maybe.
It reminds
right
me of that line from Futurama where they're about to blow up the planet of the neutronians or whatever. And he's just like, I don't know, but my gut says maybe.
In this, the 53rd
53rd
episode of the podcast, we reviewed the movie.
A chain reaction. No, you say it again.
Chain Reaction.
Okay, yeah, you go ahead.
Chain Reaction.
I preferred mine.
I think we set something off there. What was that called?
I think that was a chain reaction.
It's a reaction of chains.
It's called the domino. It's called the domino effect.
Yeah,
it's called the domino effect. It's called the domino effect.
See, I was thinking Doppler.
Yeah. It's the domino effect. So, what of this chain reaction?
So, Chain Reaction, 1996 film, rated PG-13. Thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no compunctions.
Squarely. 1 hour and 47 minutes.
I felt like it dragged a little bit.
I was going to say the same thing. I didn't want to die on that hill, but I'm glad that you're with me. Like, it felt just a little long.
I agree that it felt long, but the fact that it was 1 hour and 47 minutes and not like a tight 90, I feel like the runtime is right on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it does feel like it blew like 20 or so minutes past where you wanted it to be.
Yep. This would have been the perfect movie for a tight 90.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, just your classic boilerplate action flick, tight 90, boom, you're done.
Yeah.
Rake in the money later.
Like, compared to movies nowadays, the fact that it's less than 2 hours, like,
it's
is
insane.
noteworthy.
Yeah.
But it still felt longer.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that we know that can help us with the description of this movie? Somebody who can read description.
Right.
So, Reed, what do you got for us?
Well, I'm glad that you asked, Colin, because I in fact do have something to say about it. 2 researchers in a green alternative energy project are put on the run when they are framed for murder and treason.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Classic 90s.
Yeah, very 90s. Cherries on this movie.
Jerry here.
Cherry here.
Ooh.
Cherry here.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So none of us had seen this?
None of us had seen this.
Sweet.
I know. I
love it.
I bought this, held on to it, didn't watch it specifically because I wanted to watch it on the podcast.
Phenomenal.
Nice. Bit pop, pop.
The only difference, I think, as is the case usually, because these are coming out of my collection, is I knew who was in it, and I knew the basic premise, but I kept that, I think, pretty well shielded from you guys.
I was going to say, you mentioned earlier that you had no idea what was on the docket tonight.
Yeah, and I try to keep it that way.
Do you think that affected how you viewed it? Because normally you're aware of what's on the docket before it lands.
You know, I think it might have, because now that I'm, like, looking at the cover of it, like, it just feels 90s. You know, I think that would have biased me maybe against it.
Wait, against it? Like you would have expected it to be worse or expected it to be better?
I would have expected it to be boring.
Whoa, that's fascinating. I feel like I was slightly biased toward expecting more because it's like Keanu and Morgan Freeman and Rachel Weisz, and I was like, oh shit.
And
Like,
see, this is why I don't read my emails.
I mean,
Because of Morgan Freeman?
I don't.
Yes.
I don't read your emails either.
That's fair.
I stopped.
But no,
Yeah.
like my general strategy for this is I don't want to know what we're watching until we're watching it. Because I want to go in completely blind. I don't want to know anything about it. I don't want to know who's in it. I don't want to know the title. I don't want to know the year it came out because I want to be wholly surprised.
Honestly, you even close your eyes through most of these movies.
It's true.
So Jackson's opinion, let's just put it out there, Jackson's opinion is ill-informed.
It's true.
Like, you haven't even seen the movie.
Completely uninformed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We told you the name, and you're assuming
I'm
you've seen it.
extrapolating data out of my ass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is
Right out.
that's where data comes from.
Yep. That's what you heard earlier.
That's what we heard earlier.
He's just crunching them numbers. What that was.
Crunching something.
What Genrys we got here?
I'm happy with these because they're not like...
They're not bullshit.
They're not outrageously specific.
Yeah, but they do a good job of painting a picture.
Yep.
I've got action,
Check.
drama,
Check.
Yarp.
sci-fi...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to tease that apart. Thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, Keanu Reeves is like a one-man army.
Oh,
So,
he was. He was.
God damn it.
You know? Would you say this is a high concept comedy?
yeah, no, it was pretty high concept.
I would agree. It was definitely a quirky comedy.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely like a dark, quirky comedy.
But no, action, drama, sci-fi, thriller. That's
Boom.
good.
Add nothing.
I might... Okay, we'll talk about... We'll after the spoiler tag, but sci-fi, I don't...
Oh, come on. Bro, they're like working on an experiment that like on science shit that doesn't exist yet.
Also, it was fiction.
Yeah.
So, lawyered.
Let's put those two together. You get
Science fiction.
what do you get?
Yeah.
You get the Food Network.
This sounds like a bit of a reach.
A bit of a reach.
Sounds like a bit of
Reach
a
around.
No, I'm just saying, if we're gonna go that route, there was a laugh, there was a kiss, rom-com. This is more a rom-com than a sci-fi.
I think we just got dunked on.
Yeah.
You did. You taste that?
This is a
That's
rom-com. Oh Jesus!
Duncan.
Are those cashews or macadamias?
Yeah, you wish there was cashews.
What are they? Tell me.
I think he's describing pistachios.
Oh yeah. The ones with the wee shells.
Testicles.
Yeah. Oh, he was talking about testicles the whole time.
His balls.
Wow, that's inappropriate. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on, Jackson.
We
Clean
were-
it up.
Yeah, we were.
Jackson, they cannot see your face. Remember, just
I'm trying to make the words come out, but they're stuck in there.
I'm trying to make the words with the talkie talkie. Not working. So, who we got in this movie?
Whoa!
Whoa.
What a cast.
There are strange things afoot at the Circle K chain reactor.
Speaking of Circle K, Keanu. Circle that Keanu.
Yeah.
That's it. You got it.
Yep.
Well done,
Nailed it.
Mark.
These jokes
Anthony
are getting
Starr.
better. These jokes are getting really good.
I think we can wrap. That's
He's
it.
trying
Yeah.
so hard.
If you don't know Keanu Reeves, I don't want to know you.
He was Neo in, what was that sci-fi movie?
The Matrix.
Explorers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was also Jack Traven in Speed.
Oh, yeah.
One of the best lines in cinema history, in my opinion, is in that movie. In the final scene with the big bad, and the big bad is beating him to a pulp on the top of a moving train in a subway.
Like Dennis Hopper with the lobster hands. Yeah, I'm with you.
And he goes, I am so much smarter than you. And Keanu, in true Keanu fashion, says, yeah, well, I'm taller. And lifts him up off of him.
That's a good line.
And he gets decapitated by an oncoming overhead light.
The weird part about Speed was like that movie wasn't even like written with like a script and stuff like that. They just followed Keanu Reeves around for like 36 hours.
Yeah, that's legit. That's just
And
his
they just-
average day.
Yeah,
They got lucky.
They got real lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, not lucky in the sense. I mean, that's his every day. But
They had the right-
lucky in
people
the sense that
died,
like
yeah.
Yeah, they had
very
right
few
angles.
people died to capture that footage.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got God himself,
Yeah.
Mr. Freeman.
Oh, Rachel Weisz.
Oh, well,
I thought you were talking about Rachel Weisz.
that-
Isn't
Also applicable.
she God? Morgan Freeman. What a delight.
Again, if you don't know who Morgan Freeman is, I don't know how you're listening to this podcast because you live in a cave.
Yeah.
Yep. Morgan Freeman's amazing.
Enough said.
That's all Mark's got.
It's like borderline
Yep,
dismissive,
he's
but it's
amazing.
not. I'm agreeing.
Rachel Weisz,
Oof.
absolute smoke show. You would know her from The Mummy with Brendan Fraser.
She plays the librarian.
Oh,
She was also in one of our other movies that we reviewed, Enemy at the Gates.
yep.
Yeah, Rachel Weisz. She's a delight. Great actress.
Anybody else you want to mention?
Yeah, a couple others. We got... this movie's just filled with faces. A lot of people you'll know. Fred Ward.
Grandma's.
Oh, yeah. Tremors. Oh, my God. He basically plays the angry, middle-aged white guy in every movie you've ever seen.
He's good at it.
He's very good at it. He's very intimidating, but he's intimidating in that, like, you know...
Like a Joe Sixpack kind of way.
Yeah.
Like he's relatable, but also, you know.
Yeah. Doesn't he play, like, the angry drunk father in Summer Catch?
I think you're right.
Doesn't he?
I didn't see that one.
Oh, he's Joe Dirt's father.
Yep.
I love Joe Dirt. It's not good.
No.
But I
Oh,
like
fuck.
it. I like
Joe
it.
Dirt's amazing. What are you talking about?
I love it. It's not a good movie.
Oh,
I got the poo on me.
it's so funny. I'm gonna make a stand here, and I'm gonna say Joe Dirt is a good movie. And
I mean, so is Wild Wild West.
Yeah. I love Wild Wild West. It's a horrible movie.
see that one I can get on board with. Like, I love it, but yes, objectively, it's not
bad.
a great movie. But
Shanghai
but
Noon.
Joe Dirt's pretty great.
Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Nights, right up there with Rush Hour.
Oh, dude, Shanghai Noon's amazing. Shanghai Nights is a little dicey. Anyway, Brian Cox. He plays Uncle Argyle in Braveheart. He was also some asshole lord in Rob Roy. He was also the police chief in Super Troopers.
Kevin Dunn, Sam Witwicky's dad in the Transformers saga.
Sam, put the cube in my chest.
Are you ladies men 617? Where are the glasses?
Mark, give us your best Optimus Prime. Come on.
Well, I was doing Barricade.
He really delivered on that.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, that was Bumblebee.
Perfect.
That's why.
Perfect.
That's why I didn't say anything anymore.
Absolutely.
He got made fun of a lot, so like he just kind of keeps it to himself now.
So there's a cameo that I want to. Fuck.
Speaks to the radio.
It's like, just imagine Bumblebee making a TikTok with that voice.
There's a cameo in this movie that I want to mention that is going to fly under the radar for a lot of people, but Michael Shannon.
Oh,
Michael Shannon played General Zod in Man of Steel, and in this, he's a flower delivery guy that has one line.
He's about 12 years old.
Yeah.
he has like one of those like facial structures that like I don't trust him.
Yeah. The last one I want to mention specifically is Neil Flynn, who anybody who's watched Scrubs would know him as the janitor. Which, funny enough, in that episode where they're like, hey, aren't you a movie star? And he's like, yeah, I was in a movie with Harrison Ford once, and now I'm a janitor. Come on. No, he actually was. He was in The Fugitive with Harrison Ford.
And in this movie.
Yeah.
Playing an almost identical role.
Almost identical.
His role is virtually identical in this movie.
His role is disposable cop.
And you're talking about the character Jan Etor?
That's correct.
That's
yes.
okay, gotcha. Okay, suffice to say, there are a lot of other people in this movie. We're not going to go through them all, but like when you watch this movie, there are going to be a lot of faces that you see that you're like, oh my god,
it's that guy.
How are they doing it? I can't believe they're doing it here.
Yep,
They're doing it here.
So, would you recommend this movie?
100%.
100. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm just over the line of recommendation. I would not say like rush out and see this movie.
No.
But this is a movie that I have no doubt you can get for free somewhere. And if it sounds interesting, maybe watch it. I think one of the issues that we encounter with this movie is like, sometimes you can have a mismatch of like star power and quality.
Yeah.
And it can make a movie seem worse than it actually is if you've got big star power and the quality is like, meh. You know, and I think this movie suffers from that a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, don't rush out just because you hear Keanu Reeves and Morgan Freeman. But it's still, it's an alright movie. It's alright.
Yeah.
I would recommend this to a general audience because I'm going to say that this movie is wholly unoffensive.
Yes.
I think this is the perfect movie for a very casual movie night where you're looking for something to watch, you don't know what you want to watch, maybe you want to watch an action flick. This one's a perfect one. There's little to no swearing. It's, like I said, wholly unoffensive.
There's like 15 whoa
Yeah.
Yeah. See, for me, I compare this to like Desert Saints a little bit.
Okay.
In like,
Ooh, it's a strong comparison.
Well, no.
I get where you're going.
I
but
want to
that's-
see where he's going because I think I know.
so my argument is that like this movie feels like a 90s movie, and that's how I want to describe it.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that I want to describe it, because it has chases, it's got like some gunfights, but
The over-enthusiastic score.
yeah, it had that metal sound effect. I don't know how to like describe it, but like we heard a lot of it like in like Terminator. Like I don't even know if I can recreate it. But
Oh,
it's like,
the Foley artist was working overtime
Yeah.
on this one.
Yeah, it's like almost like a piston firing or like a ball peen hammer hitting like a empty 55-gallon steel drum.
yeah, but it's
Yep.
like it's built into the score.
Yes.
you know?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I agree with everything you said. I agree with most of the things that you said.
How dare you?
It's just a general fuck you to Colin.
I just don't know if I'm gonna remember this movie in a month.
Fair.
I mean, when I listen to this, I'm going to, of course, but like I think I'm gonna have a hard time. Everything that I'd seen in this, I'd already seen before.
So, like, what you're saying is this movie didn't exactly set off a chain reaction in your brain.
No.
No.
But it's still over the 50% for, again, all the reasons you said. Like, it's quotable. It's a decent use of your time. I don't know.
It's a basic action flick.
Yeah.
It's a soft recommendation
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, soft wreck, for sure.
I would definitely recommend this. It's not one of those movies that I would run around telling everybody, yelling it from the rooftops and hiring people to, skywrite it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember he did that with Good Burger.
That's true.
Yeah.
I did, yeah.
And you were right. I mean, in your defense, that has borne fruit.
It was money well spent.
Yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
to say. We're still suffering from it, but it was worth it. But, like, what I'm saying is if somebody asks me for a movie to watch, I'm going to probe and ask some qualifying questions. And this is one of those safe movies.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with it.
Yeah.
I would say if you come across it. You
Yeah.
come across this in the wild, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be checking, like, the stores at your local library.
No, this wasn't found in the Lost Ark.
No.
I mean, this isn't some golden hidden treasure somewhere.
Okay, so are we ready to...
Yeah. Never a duplicate.
I think that was the most unique we've ever
Yeah, we were all sort of doing our own thing. We were just kind of...
Just wait till next week, everybody.
It's like we created a jazz scat band.
Yeah.
And, like, you brought the xylophone, you brought the upright bass, and I brought the bagpipes.
Yep.
We were just like, let's do it, guys!
Let's make some noise.
Wild card.
But just...
Went with it. And I liked it. And you will too.
Okay, do we want to jump right into the narrative of this movie?
Yeah, I feel like the meat and potatoes of this movie are...
We're gonna get
Yeah,
through.
we can get
I think we can
real
run
quick.
through this pretty
Real
quick.
quick, just hit
I
the beats
agree.
and we'll be done.
Yeah. That's
You
weird
have to
that.
say it. You have to
You
say
really,
it.
you sort of do, yeah.
Yeah. How does this movie start? It starts.
All right, this movie starts with Keanu doing some machining.
Yeah, tinkering.
And, yeah, just kind of working around with his little beep bops and machines and doodads. And
Yeah.
he packs up his machined device, scoots it on over to this really kick-ass lab that's in the middle of like
Sawmill or something?
Yeah, it's an old industrial park. Not industrial park. It's an old industrial area on the south side of Chicago. It's like a converted factory. And you know what? It actually opens with a scientist giving a very like vehement speech, I believe.
Yes.
About pollution and how our energy demands are killing the planet and blah, blah, blah. Which maybe we should talk about that for a second because...
Yeah.
It was very, like, progressive for the 90s. This dude who's just like, yeah, we're straight up killing the planet, and we, like, definitely need to stop doing that.
Yeah.
I feel like, pollution was on people's minds, right? They had, like, the ozone layer thing and, like, Save with the Whales and all that shit, but, like, I feel like your average citizen wasn't as, like, environmentally conscious as making this a heavy element in this movie would suggest
Right.
in 1996.
I mean, they were talking about the human race and its addiction to petroleum and its addiction to fossil fuels. And I like the way they phrased that. They said, we are addicted to these fossil fuels and petroleum products. Because we are. I mean, we're dependent on it. We've built our societies around it. Wars have been waged over it. And that's what this whole speech was. It was the pollution revolution. They were talking about saving the planet by eliminating the need for fossil fuels.
Mark, can you cut me up a couple lines of crude?
Yeah, no problem, dude. No problem. I got you.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
No, it had that like typical like 90s, this is cold fusion like vibe to it that I feel like several movies at that time had.
Including the Disney Channel original movie Punks, starring Jessica Alba. So, and Randy Quaid. So, you keep going with your point about, that didn't derail it at all.
Yeah, it did. It really did. No, it did. No, like they threw out some like sciencey mumbo jumbo standard. Was this the sci-fi bit of it? Like,
Yeah, they invented a new device. Okay, so here was their goal, right? The scientist is given the speech. His team is the one who's working out of this, like, industrial area. It was converted for, like, what was it, the University of Chicago?
Yeah.
And they're trying to create a device that will basically create hydrogen by splitting water atoms and using that hydrogen in, fuel cells and...
It wasn't cold fusion.
No,
it wasn't cold fusion, but it was something that would basically supplant electrolysis as the primary method for producing free hydrogen.
Right.
And so electrolysis right now takes more energy than it produces in the form of hydrogen gas. So this is supposed to be something that is sort of self-sustaining in a way, and that is the sci-fi, is this device, this magic device that produces free, virtually limitless hydrogen that we can then harness as an energy source.
I think my pushback against sci-fi, and you're right about that, but the sci-fi element wasn't, I don't know if I agree with this, and it hasn't even come out of my mouth yet, wasn't the thing that drove the narrative. It was like the espionage, it was the whodunit, it was the thriller side of it. Whereas, at least when I think traditionally like a sci-fi, I think that the sci-fi elements like carry the whole narrative and are not just like maybe a jumping off point.
But it wasn't like a side thing. It was like the events of the movie transpired exclusively because they succeeded in creating this device. This magic new sci-fi thing happened. And all good fantasy and sci-fi, but sci-fi especially, leads off with like, yeah, but what if this one thing? What if this thing? And then tells a story about the consequences of what if that one thing? And the consequences of creating a basically free and available source of energy is a lot of very powerful players on the world stage are going to be really fucking upset and threatened by this, and they're going to try to contain it and shut it down as quickly as possible. And that's basically exactly what happened here.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe it's that my personal definition of sci-fi usually involves space or aliens or the future, some like really on the nose elements, and this didn't necessarily have that.
This was the future. It was the distant future, 1998.
Yeah.
Did they say 98?
Yeah. No, it's the movie came out in 96. I was giving it a +2. But
yeah, but that's probably about right.
But there are a few things I love more than like the distant future, the year 2000.
Right?
Like, I fucking love that when we've blown past these like milestones. Just rewatching Back to the Future 2 and they're in like 2015.
Yeah.
It's fucking like hoverboards and pizzas that start off like a quarter of an inch across and go into the food rehydrator. Like, fuck, it's so good. It's so good.
I mean, we're already there, We're already there with the Hot Pocket,
That's right. We got Cybertrucks.
Yeah.
Microwaves. Somebody decided to like slap a couple wheels in a dumpster and it's like, yeah, it's the car of the future. The zip zap, and it's got the pointy angles, and it's filled with raccoons.
Don't get it wet.
Okay.
Don't get it wet. Get that on a shirt. Yeah. Okay, so they have success. They have success in their endeavors, and they're partying that night, and there's like some disagreement over like how public to make it. It's kind of like done in a back office. Anyway, everybody's leaving for the night, and their entire facility gets destroyed. And the main meat and potatoes of this movie is that Keanu and his Rachel Weisz,
coworker,
eventually ends up being his +1.
Kind of. It's not as explicit, but they're definitely
they're hugging.
They're chummy.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of what kicks off the movie is this has happened, we're being framed for it.
Yeah, like basically a cleanup team from some unknown agency shows up in a work van, kills the few scientists who are left in the building, and basically sabotages the experiment. Keanu decides to not let Rachel Weisz drive drunk home,
which is weird. Why?
It's so bold that like in the 90s, I feel like today anybody in a movie that would be absolutely smashed and trying to drive home, it would either be in a comedy and played for like hilarious effect, or it would be like, this is the bad guy.
Right.
Like, this is the bad person in the movie. Like, it would never be
It would never be the protagonist.
Yeah, it would never be
the day.
in a serious movie, the person you're supposed to like the most
is going to drive drunk.
is just going to be smashed trying to get into their car. But anyway, so he takes her home, and then he comes back for his motorcycle.
Yes.
Finds the bodies.
And then, basically, like, passes that car, finds the bodies. He knows that it wasn't just, like, an accident that shit went haywire because, like, he finds the main scientist who was
Dr.
talking.
Barkley.
Dr. Charles Barkley and his assistant, Dr. J. He finds the guy with, like, a bag over his head, like mob style, like, suffocated. And he gets out before the shit explodes, and there was a big bada boom.
Mm-hmm.
Big bada boom.
So, at this point, the Big Bada Boom levels about 8 city blocks of Chicago, which obviously lands on Homeland Security's radar, FBI's radar,
Fish and Wildlife.
Yep. Department of Natural Resources.
Yep.
Don't want to get the DNR involved.
No. Mall cops were furious.
Oh, Paul Blart was going absolutely
Dude, he was
nuts.
Shaking.
Came scooting in on his Segway.
Minivan. So yeah, everybody is freaking out. Everybody's pissed. People probably died, but they didn't mention it.
When they did the big tracking shots, it was a pretty...
It's like a Beirut-size explosion.
Yeah, it was massive.
Yes, but also it was in an industrial area, like in the middle of the night. Actually, like way early morning, 3 a.m.
He
so
said he got the call at 3 in the morning.
there was a whole lot of nothing around this.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to. I think
But-
the point I'm trying to illustrate.
People died.
Oh yeah, people probably died. Yeah.
So the FBI shows up. They're at the site. Everybody's, giving statements and questioning people and this whole thing. And you kind of fast forward through, and Eddie, who is Keanu Reeves' character, gives his statement to the police, is talking to a reporter. They're ushered into a courthouse. Or no, FBI headquarters. It was FBI headquarters that they went to. And they talk to the FBI, they give their statements, and then they're released. And the FBI is like, okay, don't leave town. Like, we have more to talk about, but we have to do some investigating, blah, blah, blah. They get to the house where Lily, Rachel Weisz's character, is staying, which is Dr. Barkley's house.
The dude who was murdered.
And she receives a fax from the missing scientist that nobody could find or round up. And it's a fax saying, hey, this is Dr. Chen. You should meet me in Shanghai for the rendezvous. And she's like, he would never say that. This is clearly a setup. And then Eddie is like, okay, this isn't safe. We should run. Well, as soon as they go on the lam, the FBI investigates Eddie's pad, and they find a high-powered transmitter that he shouldn't have access to, $250,000 cash in a brown paper bag, a bunch of notebooks full of Chinese writing.
Which, come on. If you raided any one of our houses...
You'd find at least one of those things.
Yeah. But probably two. Come on. Unless I'm holding your $250,000 for you, then they would find $500,000 in my house and, zero at Mark's house. But he can hold on to my transmitter for me.
Right.
And I basically, I fucked it up. It basically only gets DirecTV now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just a fucking satellite.
That's exactly what it was.
Well, what's this? That's a satellite dish.
That's DirecTV. But yeah, so it's very clear at this point between Dr. Barkley being assassinated.
Space assassin.
And Lily being framed and Eddie being set up that this is a shady shit situation. A shady situation.
There's no doubt.
Shit.
Kebab.
Yeah, so the middle of this movie is a fairly consistent beat of
Keanu doing action shit.
Yeah, Keanu and Rachel Weisz are running away from basically 3 levels of, let's call them law enforcement, but that's maybe stretching the term a little bit. They're running away from the local cops who are operating at the behest of the FBI, who's also chasing them. But then there is this sort of like 3rd level shadowy government agency that they're basically the Men in Black.
Yeah.
That are chasing them and sort of coming in and out. And it very quickly, I don't think they sort of hid it from anybody. Anybody with half a brain could guess this. And I'm really bad at guessing movies. So, even I figured this out right away. But Morgan Freeman, who was another sort of, let's say, scientist on the project. They don't call him doctor. They call him Mr. But he was heavily involved in the project.
Yeah.
He is also being followed by the FBI and all this shit, but it becomes obvious that he is actually part of this shadowy third level hierarchy, and the project was basically like, it was a pet project that he had in order to, when the time was right, cut and run, destroy the project, take the information for the US government, but even these sort of like people who should be oversight on this didn't know their organization existed, so shadowy figures and the deep state, right? Like, basically the thing that all of your uncles are terrified of.
Yeah.
This shadowy
these guys were kind of scary. I'd be afraid of them too.
All except for Morgan Freeman. He could kill me with impunity.
I don't think I could ever be scared of Morgan Freeman. Even if he held me at gunpoint, I would just be like, yep.
Yeah.
This is happening.
I deserve this. Whatever it is. I don't know what I've done.
I don't know what I did, but clearly I did something to piss off Morgan Freeman.
But it's Morgan Freeman, so it's probably justified.
I don't know. I'm going to push back on that. I think that if I was in a room with just Morgan Freeman and the facade dropped and he didn't want to be in the room with me, I would be very uncomfortable.
That's racist.
I don't think it is. But maybe, okay, sure.
I felt his sphincter just close up from here.
I had to, Mark.
I mean,
I had to.
How many times have we called Mark a racist on this podcast?
more often than I've actually ever been called.
I would say 45 plus. So anyway, meanwhile, Mark's terrified of Morgan Freeman, and
it's the freckles.
They're very menacing freckles.
Yes.
But yeah, so so he's part of this like bad guy organization. He is simultaneously trying to lure Rachel Weisz and Keanu Reeves in because he's sort of pretending to still be some kind of naive to the goings on at these various levels of police work.
Well, he wants to make sure that the cops don't get him first. So I think that he's helping them dodge that so that they're like in an area where they can pick him up.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of ambiguous of like, does he want the cops not to pick him up because A, he's worried that the cops might harm them or like bad things might happen and he's worried about their safety, or B, is he worried about like basically their investment, right? Like he's worried that they might blab or, you know, or is it a little bit of both, right?
Well,
they leave that kind of ambiguous. Like, is he scared for his own skin or is he scared for them genuinely in addition to not wanting them to blab?
And over time, it becomes pretty clear that he is orchestrating their evasion of capture for his own personal gain because he knows that if the cops get him, he will be turned over to the FBI and he will not have the pieces of the puzzle that he needs to replicate the experiment that exploded in downtown Chicago.
Due to sabotage.
Due to sabotage that his group performed.
Right.
So he's helping them avoid the cops in the hopes that they will come to him, which kind of ends up happening.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Sort of, kind of.
The cops don't catch up with Eddie and Lily. The shadow organization...
The Goon Squad.
Yeah, the Goon Squad. Eddie and Lily agree to meet... Paul Shannon is Morgan Freeman's character's name. They agree to meet Shannon at this, like, flight museum, like natural history museum or something like that.
Yeah.
Neutral ground, lots of people, like, it's a safe place, right? And this is where Morgan Freeman basically gives up the jig.
Yeah, kind of drops the charade.
And he's like, all right, you need to come with me. And they're like, how deep does this go, Shannon? And he's like, you just need to come with me. And then the goons show up, and it's actually comical because the moment that it's very clear that this is a setup, the camera pans over and there's like two pairs of goons just staring at the camera,
just
walking
mean mugging,
like just absolute mean mugging and staring.
Fucking $half size eyeballs, just like
leather jackets and sunglasses.
Yeah, where do you get all that shit? It's like Goons Are Us,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they all shop together, clearly.
Yeah.
Like you never see like a goon in like a Hello Kitty shirt.
No.
Or like
it's a uniform.
Sandals.
It's a uniform.
Right?
It is a uniform. Like Cintas probably has a like goon selection.
Like apparel line or
I
whatever.
bet Shoes for Crews has a whole section on like non-slip shoes for goons.
Yes, and also
Yeah.
nondescript, strictly black, somewhere between a work boot and a snow boot.
Yeah, like Oxfords with non-slip tread with a comfort insole because you're going to be on your feet a lot. I mean, gooning is not easy.
No, I mean, you gotta stand there with a gun looking menacing.
Yeah.
Like, how long are you standing there?
Right?
Definitely. You guys are absolutely right. So they capture Rachel Weisz's character, okay?
I love how often he just shuts us down.
Yep. He's He's trying.
Keanu.
Thanks, Dad.
I'm succeeding. Okay. Keanu gets the fuck out of there. Rachel, not fast enough. She gets scooped up by the goon squad. And now the mystery is still unfolding, but it's also almost like not like a rescue thing, but now Keanu has to find Rachel.
Goes on the offensive.
Yeah.
The best defense is a good find Rachel Weisz.
A good
Yes.
Keanu. You know, that's the best.
Whoa.
So they travel to CERN.
Not really, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Right. Did they ever clarify why it's just like a big old circle building? Or is it just because like that just looks
You want to know the real reason? Because it's called C Systems, and they needed the logo to look like their logo on their business cards.
That's how it usually works.
I don't want to say that was the origin, like the C Systems came before they built that structure, but I guarantee you that's exactly how it happened.
Yep.
So they keep trying to run this experiment. Are they ever like truly successful? I know they get right up close to it, but they're missing.
So
some
they
of the...
can't succeed because Keanu Reeves, Eddie is the machinist, right? And Eddie accidentally...
It's also a musician.
Yes.
He's also a bachelor's level student who is working for free and somehow has knowledge of machines, computer programming, and physics that rival the actual PhD physicists in the room.
Yep.
He's cool, man.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And
go ahead.
And he wears a leather jacket and rides a motorcycle.
Well, obviously. How else are you going to show that you're the smartest guy in the room?
Right?
Doesn't have a license.
He
just has that.
accidentally discovers the missing ingredient because there's a piece of metal on a lathe that is creating a sound that hits at a certain frequency that activated the compound in his magical device. So he holds a microphone up to it, records it on a keyboard, and plays it back and discovers that it's stable.
Only Keanu could be in the middle of a failed multi-million-dollar physics experiment and realize that in order to make this clean, free energy out of this very heavily invested science experiment, all you need are some sweet, sweet jams, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just some sweet jams, and then here we are.
Yeah.
Solved it.
He's the only one that knows the frequency, and they need that in order for the experiment to be successful. So he is really the crucial element.
Yeah, this all happens, him discovering and all this shit. This happens in the very beginning, which is what makes the experiment work initially in the beginning. And he is the only one who, as Jackson said, holds these frequencies, which is amazing because, like, it would be so easy for them to just run through a shit ton of frequencies.
Right.
Unbelievably fast.
Like, even in 1996, I could probably do this on my, like, Sony Discman. Like, just blow through a bunch of frequencies and just see which one makes the experiment work.
Right. Well, and it's revealed in a scene where he's like inputting all of the data that the frequency is 15.42 hertz.
Definitely would have hit that if you just checked every frequency between, like, 0 and 100 hertz.
Yeah. In a day. In less than a day. Like,
How many hertz?
15.42.
Not megahertz.
Just hertz.
Just
Yep.
hertz. Like the car company. Okay, so the third act, the climax of the movie is basically Keanu makes it to the secret underground volcano lair that is the C Systems experiment, aka the ripped off hydrogen generator. And let's just say he infiltrates with incredible fidelity.
Yeah.
And gets inside their systems, manages to, like, again, he's supposed to be, like, getting his bachelor's in, like, God knows what.
He flunked out of school.
Yeah. Well, he got kicked out for blowing up a room,
That's true.
which is,
Yeah, he blew up the lab.
I know a couple other people who did that too.
And it wasn't I shouldn't say, it wasn't a room. It was a lab, and they're among the nicest dogs.
It's true.
So,
Shame on you, Keanu.
how dare you? That's why he did the John Wick movies. To sort of
To make up for it.
yeah, to kind of pay back after all that. Anyway, so he breaks into their shit, jerry rigs everything, so, like, the whole fucking place is just working on his shit. Like, again, he just, you have to suspend belief that this, like, 35-year-old savant bachelor student just can take down this, like, multi-billion dollar facility, and in 1996 he can fart and the lights will turn on kind of thing.
Yeah, he just like walks in.
He sure does.
Yep.
He sure
Basically.
does.
Walked in, stole a hard hat, snuck into the underground bunker, ditched the hard hat, broke into the offices, did a Control-C.
He hacked into the mainframe.
Yeah, and just input all of his data to make the whole thing magically work.
You just gotta hack the mainframe.
Yeah, and I think my favorite part about this sequence of events is they talked about this scientist before, Lukasz, which I think was a Polish scientist. Based on his accent and name, I would say that he's Polish, but
Safe bet.
it's not super relevant. They were talking about, Lukasz, he's not smart enough to figure this out, right? So Keanu's character inputs everything and makes the whole experiment magically work in the middle of the night after everybody's gone to bed.
Of course.
And the next morning, Morgan Freeman gets the call, goes down to the lab, and he's like, so what's going on? And they're like, Lukasz figured it out. And he's like, who did you say figured it out? Lukasz.
He's the dumbest scientist we have, was basically the...
Right. Like...
that was the face he made was like, that guy... That guy's degree was penned in crayon.
Right.
We don't hire all winners here in this super secret government facility.
No, I mean, slim pickings, let's say, out there for a PhD physicist with a penchant for world domination and chaos.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's bad guy central. This is where supervillains' origin stories begin.
Yeah, this guy was absolutely loathed by his graduate advisor. And when they called for his references, the advisor was like, "Oh yeah, he's great. He's great. This is a terrible position, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, he's great. He's amazing. You should definitely take him. Mm-hmm. Take him off my hands, please."
Totally unpaid. But yeah, so they go downstairs and Lukasz is like, yeah, it came to me in a dream. I was sleeping and then, I got the dream and I came down here and I input the data and the experiment worked.
Yep.
And it was like, yeah, that's some super science-y shit right there.
Yeah, that's how science works.
Right.
Okay, so basically, the experiment is up and running. Keanu gets confronted by Morgan Freeman. He's like, hey, let us go. And Morgan Freeman's like, yeah, maybe. And then Brian Cox is like, no, absolutely not. Meh, you lost all your power. And then Keanu Reeves was like, oh, yeah? And then he, hit some shit, and then, everything went boo-woo, and, shut down, fucking lights went out, computers went boop, and the experiment just went fucking haywire, and everybody was like, yeah, turn it back on, nah. And Keanu Reeves was like, no. And then they went to the experiment, and then the stupid guy was like, I'm gonna shut it down! And Keanu was like, no. And then, sorry. And the guy shut it down anyway. And then things got really out of hand.
And Keanu was like, oh no.
And Keanu was like, no, can't believe it. And then shit got really out of hand. Everything was going to explode. And everybody was like, let's get the fuck out of here. And then Brian Cox was like, except Keanu and Rachel Weisz, you stay here. Nah. And apparently Brian Cox is the penguin from the cartoon Batman. Yeah, see? And so they have to stay there. And then everybody fucking escapes. And I think of Broken Jackson. And then everybody escapes. And then Keanu and Rachel Weisz have to find their own way to escape. And Keanu's like, let's go this way. And Rachel Weisz is like, okay. Wow. And then they climb into an elevator that's basically a steel cage, and then they explode out of the hole up 175 feet and then drop back down.
Absolute lethal velocity.
And then drop back down another 50, and what would have been Keanu and Rachel Weisz soup was saved by Keanu going, whoa.
Yeah.
And they landed, and they came out safe.
Yeah.
And then
they smooched, and they got in a car. Or no, they got in a helicopter.
Yeah, they got out, and they were like, Keanu was like, Fred Ward.
She's staying with me.
She rides with me.
Yeah.
And Fred Ward was like, all right, hop in. And then Morgan Freeman gets in his town car and drives away, and then it fades
credits.
to black.
Yeah, roll credits.
Yeah, so was Morgan Freeman a bad guy?
Yes.
Or was...
He was a morally ambiguous guy, which is as bad as Morgan Freeman gets.
Yeah. No, he did bad things.
Yeah, but he did good things.
He did good things. And then he got away with doing bad things.
And he had
Yeah, there was really no,
There was no consequences
no
for him.
moral repercussions for that guy.
Which is partly why I asked, because the movie played it off like he was the good guy and he just gets to leave.
He did commit murder.
But to be fair, though, this is the same movie that had one of its principal characters smashed drunk and about to get into a motor vehicle and drive through the streets of Chicago.
2 hours after walking home says, is this what drunk is like?
Yeah, and
it's like that.
I feel like they really signposted in the beginning of this movie that they were tone deaf to the conventions of when a character is supposed to be good or bad, they may not see the consequences of their actions.
and we didn't even specify the reason reason why she didn't drive home was because her engine wasn't starting.
Her battery died.
Yeah, she definitely would have.
Yeah,
she had fully committed to driving through Chicago.
Yeah, so Keanu's more like,
Hammered
drunk. Hey, I see your car's not starting. This is the reason I'm going to take. Not because you were going to kill 50 people.
Right.
Of course not. No.
It's whatever. So roll credits.
Roll credits. Okay, well, what do we like about this movie?
I like seeing so many familiar faces. Again, my biggest gripe with this one, and I know you said I have a hard time remembering all the bits and bobs of it.
I believe Keanu said, "Whoa."
Yeah. You can see, I pushed that one out.
Yeah, oh no, I think we caught it on. Oh. It literally looks like Mark is about to throw up on the microphone.
No, it's good. While I'm shitting on it, I do enjoy a good 90s nostalgia. There's a certain comfort to it, I feel like this movie's going to stay within these bounds and it's going to do these kinds of things, and that's what it does, Again, no jokes here. Like a rom-com does, a 90s action movie, it stays in its lane. I like that.
Yeah.
Did you guys like other things? Yeah. Tell me something you liked. Get it out.
Okay, so I don't know if this is a or an interesting aspect of this movie. This movie painted cops in an incredibly favorable light. I feel like cops in movies, especially action movies, are so easy to paint as bumbling idiots who can't do the thing.
Right.
And
the other option is the cops are bad guys.
Yeah, it makes for a very easy device to let the good guy get away because the cop is just
a moron.
A moron or massively overweight and just can't move, right? But the fucking cops in this movie were first of all, they were fucking fast as hell.
Yeah.
Actually caught Keanu twice in a foot race.
Yeah.
One cop was running up a goddamn 50-degree incline and closed on
an
Keanu.
icy bridge in Chicago in the winter.
And then speared him. It was awesome. They're smart. Mm-hmm. They actually are figuring shit out, and even the local cops are making really clever decisions.
Halfway through the movie, the two main detectives are you know what, this doesn't seem to be adding up.
Right.
Yeah, yes, that's actually, I think, when I wrote down smart, was they figured it out that this smells fishy.
Yeah,
because
Agent Ward, he's so you're telling me that this bachelor dropout had $250,000 cash just laying around where he knew we would find it, next to a high-powered transmitter and a bunch of illegal equipment?
And he was smart enough to do all of this shit with the experiment and blah, 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 and do all this crazy shit. But he was dumb enough to fucking leave all that shit in his apartment for us to find, super easily.
Right. He's no, this isn't, something's fishy.
They're not morons, and that is, incredibly refreshing.
Yeah.
Because it's just so easy, and it's the kind of thing that, I almost don't even pay attention to anymore. And I only paid attention to it in this movie because it was such a departure from what I'm used to.
And there's another scene that demonstrates that the cops in this movie behaved actual cops.
Yeah, actual people.
Because when they're hiding out in Wisconsin with Maggie, who's a character we haven't mentioned, but she's kind of not super important to the story. She's basically a hideout.
She's more of a location.
But they're hiding out with Maggie because Maggie's safe. And they get caught. The cops show up. Keanu and Rachel book it. And Maggie tries to distract the cops. She runs up to the officer and she's like, guys, the dude from the news, Eddie, he went that way. And the cop was like, yeah, okay, Maggie. And then they just continue chasing because they watched him run away.
Yeah, you're so right. They completely dismiss her and then immediately, call back up to, the observatory, which was her observatory where the guy was running.
They knew he was going.
Yeah, and they're that's so funny that they immediately were like, Maggie, you're full of shit.
Nice try.
Shut the fuck up. We watched him run away and we know where he's going.
Yeah, and they're also, most of the cops in this movie were, helpful. They were actually, trying to do the thing, right?
Yeah.
They were trying to do the thing.
Which you just don't see in movies, at all.
Yeah.
Well, I think in part, too, it was because they were trying to draw a distinction between the government that was responsible and the government that was trying to find out what's happening.
Yes,
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think that is the reason, but to expand on the point, I think it would have been so easy for them to make the distinction, these guys are evil and smart, and the local cops and the feds are
morally right and dumb.
Yes, they're trying to do good, but they're stupid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no, they're actually kind of putting it together, pretty well. Let's see. I thought it was, really interesting and refreshing to see a movie from 1996 so openly discuss and talk about, like, climate change and pollution and, you know, all this stuff. Like, you know, not to get weird and after school specially about this, but, like, the real villain in this movie is climate change and pollution, right?
Yeah.
Like, that is what's driving the need for this special device, which ultimately sets off the chain reaction, you might say, of horrific events.
Let's see what he did there.
Title drop.
Oh, shit, that was the name of the movie.
Yeah, it was. I'm gonna have to erase it now.
Yeah.
Man.
Let's see what else we got. Okay, this is a little bit good, a little bit bad. Good concept. A little bit lazy execution.
Yes.
Like, it's weird. There were things that I liked. Like, I liked the way they portrayed the cops and how competent they were. And I've talked ad nauseum in other episodes about, like, how I fucking hate when, like, characters, especially main characters, make just asinine decisions.
They do the dumb thing.
To advance the plot. Nobody made fucking stupid decisions in this movie.
Nope. Not a single bad decision was made.
Mark looks like he's going to dissent.
No, I would.
Is there something I'm missing? I feel like there's something, like, glaring I'm missing. I am talking, I should say, about, like, small, like...
And are you referring to, like, the cops in their pursuit, or are you talking the characters at large?
So, like, Keanu and Rachel Weisz, when they're running, like, they don't get away because they got lucky, and they don't get away because of the incompetence of the pursuers. They get away because they make really fucking, like, slick, clever decisions to, like, oh, we're gonna split up, or, like, we're gonna go down an alley because I see a cop at my apartment, and that's not good. They make very good, quick, sort of responsive decisions, which I feel like in another movie, Keanu might see that cop outside his apartment, like, run up there and he goes, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
And then they, like, arrest him.
Yep.
You know, and it's like...
Movie over.
Yeah.
I think my pushback, and I think the movie would disagree with me because they allowed Keanu to get out of these situations, but, like, he was acting real fucking guilty. You know, they get, like, this mysterious facts, and then they hide it. They don't say anything. He's, like, jumping into a cop car. Like, it's interesting, and it makes the movie suspenseful, but do you feel like there was space for them just to be like, hey, look at all this crazy shit that's happening. Maybe don't run away from the cops. Maybe don't, like...
I think there's a piece of that, but, like, again, like, he saw, like, a professional hit crew leaving in a van, and, like, the head scientist literally had a fucking bag taped around his neck, and then they sabotaged the experiment enough to level 8 city blocks. Being in custody, to me, sounds like waiting for my death, because the people who can do that
Will find you in a jail cell.
if they don't have people on the inside with the police already, they can still fucking kill me in a jail cell.
Well, and the other thing is, like, he knows. So after the experiment is sabotaged and Dr. Barkley is assassinated, Liu Chen is in the wind, Eddie is like, okay, this isn't just some pissed off person. This was orchestrated. This was carefully planned. And then the next morning, she gets the shady facts, and they go back to his apartment and there are cops waiting for him. He's like, okay, clearly somebody is trying to set both of us up. So yeah, he does act really guilty.
Shady Facts? Band name?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shady Facts. I like it.
Shady Facts.
And they're all dressed like Gandalf because it sounds like Shadow Facts.
Ooh. Or they're dressed like those costumes where it's like the fake legs out the side and the horse on the front and the back, and you're like the horse is the front legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, I think you guys are making very valid points, and I can't argue them. But, like,
I can't argue them,
But
here I go. I'm gonna argue them.
no, like he's like publicly running away. He's like stealing their gun. Like he's like aggressively guilty actions.
Oh yeah.
But again, that stealing that gun, I would put that down. I actually think I have that down in the examples.
things?
Is like taking the cop's gun. Like, you have people in fucking helicopters that are shooting at you. Like, these people have resources and they are determined and they are fucking smart and capable. And suddenly there is a dead cop in front of you who has a gun. Like, take that gun because that is probably going to be the only thing that defends you. And it was when they broke into that house. That was the only thing that saved them, was the fact that Keanu had a gun.
And he just shot that random guy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was the homeowner, and
Yeah,
we're
like,
all sad about that.
They broke into a home and he shot this random person that like walked through a hallway. He broke into someone else's home and shot a random person that he didn't know.
Yep. That person happened to be a hitman, but he didn't know that.
He didn't ask any questions.
Nope. He
Listen.
saw a person and shot.
That's that guy's business. If you happen to be in a house that I break into, that it is your business whether or not I randomly assault you with a weapon.
Yeah.
Right? You have brought that on yourself.
You knew what you signed on for when you allowed me to break into your home.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, really.
What if, like, the whole climax of the movie happened, everything's great, they're about to get on the helicopter, and then, like, one of the detectives walks up and he's like, look, I'm so glad that we cleared your name, that's great,
But you committed murder and
you
you're
did
going to
murder
prison.
somebody like 4 scenes ago, and now you have to go to prison for your life.
Yep.
For the rest of your life.
To be fair, though, I think he's got a pretty strong self-defense.
He broke into someone else's home.
Yeah, but the dude was,
Like middle-aged? What?
yes.
Yeah.
Balding? I don't...
He was not attractive.
He lived a long, good middle life.
He was expendable. I think
Yeah.
it's really like,
Well,
Keanu knew that this guy, like, whether it was the homeowner
He didn't
or
have
a goon,
much to live for at this point.
No.
Well, certainly not with regard to the plot.
No.
I mean, honestly, though, good cops, when they're going through that scene, are going to be like, well, clearly this guy was a shithead.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if he's the homeowner or whatever, but, like, clearly he's a shithead. We're not even going to investigate this, because this is, like...
It's a waste of police resources.
Right. We're going to chuck him in the lake. The house is on a lake. We'll chuck him in the lake, and then Mother Nature will do her thing.
Well, I guess I was wrong about this whole thing.
You know what? We're trying to tell you. We're trying to slip it in quietly, so you
It's
know.
okay.
But
Everybody gets one.
tell him, Spider-Man. Yeah, apparently everybody gets one.
All right, what else we like?
Okay, so one other thing that I did like, because I'm going to tear into like the shit I didn't like in this movie in a second here, but like there were a lot of small details that I thought were very like appropriate. Like two that come to mind were Rachel Weisz is like all over the fucking place. She's like crawling through like these tunnels and doing all this stuff. Like her stockings actually got ripped.
Yeah.
Right, she was actually running around with ripped stockings. And it's the kind of thing that, like, you probably wouldn't notice in most movies if they weren't ripped. But most movies, honestly, probably wouldn't rip them. And it's really annoying. And it's a nice detail when you see it. Also, there's a scene where it's 1996. Most people have never even heard the word internet.
Right.
Or should I say, a lot of people have never even heard the word internet. Like, somehow Keanu knows enough to fucking send, if you're familiar with The Office,
Yeah.
he basically sent a woof
Yeah.
to the FBI headquarters and literally had every single fax machine and every single computer just downloading fucking data and printing out sheets of data and schematics and all this shit. I mean, totally terabytes worth of data. Anyway.
Back in 96, terabytes was insane.
Yes.
Gigabytes were insane in 96.
So I say all that, that's something that I obviously didn't like, the unrealistic nature of that. But when they leave, Fred Ward turns back to like one of his subordinates and goes, make sure the fax machines don't run out of paper. And I was like, a completely unnecessary detail, but like
Yeah.
really like a kind of a clever line, because like if suddenly somehow your fax machine is just fucking unloading all of this really important, relevant material for your case,
You want all of it.
You keep that fucking paper hopped, man. And it was a totally unnecessary line that had great, let's say, verisimilitude.
Yep.
Jackson, did you like any?
I did. I really enjoyed how rich this was in 90s flavor. I've said it a couple times now. This was just a classic 90s action flick. Just a whole lot of running and shooting and...
Dude, the boat scene?
The
Like-
boat scene was awesome.
Yeah, it's really sweet. That
boat
fan
scene
boat
was
over
fucking
ice.
sweet.
Oh, that's so dope. That's face-off level.
Yeah,
Him climbing,
that's dope as shit.
Yeah, him climbing up the bridge as it's being raised, and he's like clambering around like a spider monkey on the inside of the bridge, and like running around on top of the Boeing 727 model in the museum. Like, it was just cool. It was just cool 90s action shit.
Yeah.
The dialogue, I thought, was perfect, because the dialogue was cheesy when it needed to be cheesy, and it punched above its weight when it needed to.
Interesting.
Like, a lot of Morgan Freeman's lines hit, and a lot of minor characters' lines did not hit. And I thought it was perfect. Like, was the dialogue good? No. But I
quotable,
thought
though.
it was quotable, and it was perfect 90s flavor.
So basically your point is, was the dialogue good? No. Was the dialogue good? Yes.
Yeah, the dialogue was enjoyable, but it was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Somebody wrote that.
Somebody on the paper.
Yep. Somebody wrote that.
90s movie were really good at the one-liners.
Yeah.
You know, for whatever reason. And maybe they weren't. Maybe we're just super nostalgic for it, and that's why we feel that way. Probably. But this movie was just full of those one-liners that weren't delivered like one-liners, but they just had that oomph,
Yeah.
you know? But it was cartoony a
Yeah.
little bit, so bad.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Cinematography.
Yeah, how was the vistas?
I liked it.
Were they sweeping?
So, the opening sequence of the movie is just a whole lot of B-roll of, like, helicopters flying over metropolitan cities, and you see the steam rising through the air from, like, smokestacks and shit. And it's supposed to really highlight the level of pollution that we've committed to and just industrialized our entire world. The foot chases, the car chases, the action sequences, the shootouts, like, everything about this was pretty boilerplate, but
Did what it needed to do.
Yes, it achieved its task.
Yeah.
And they didn't try to punch above their weight with the cinematography. They didn't try to get like super exciting and fancy with it, but they also didn't shoot it from just like the most boring angle. Like a lot of it was just capturing the essence from the right angle. And one scene in particular jumps to mind, which is the rooftop scene with the cop. Because they shot it in 3 angles that I absolutely love. They shot it POV from Eddie and Lily's perspective. They shot it POV from the cop's perspective. And they shot it overhead as the cop is like advancing on them. And I loved that they shot it from those particular angles because it showed what your characters are seeing rather than the audience. And then it revealed the whole situation after the fact. So I thought that was really creative and cool. But again, most of the shots in this movie were pretty basic cinematography. And it did what it needed to do, and it didn't try to be anything else.
That's fair. So there's like a comfort in that.
Yeah.
Was there anything we didn't like?
Yes.
Well, are you sure?
Yes.
Hit us with it.
Okay, so Brian Cox,
Not the physicist.
not the physicist.
You don't know that. He could be a physicist. A Scottish physicist.
Stryker from X-Men. His accent is so unique and yet all over the place at the same time.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah.
Striker.
Yeah. I could not at any moment in this movie take him seriously. Not once.
Well, as soon as he was on
Really?
screen, I knew he was going to be one of the bad guys.
That was my point. Like, he shows up on screen, I'm like, cool, that's the bad guy.
He does play a good bad guy.
He does.
He is a very
But
good bad
I
guy.
could not take him seriously at all in this movie.
Bit of a jerk.
Yeah.
Bit of a dingus, if
Like,
you will.
I would have preferred, and this is a little on the nose because Keanu Reeves, I would have preferred Dennis Hopper be the bad guy for this movie.
Well, we all want Dennis Hopper to be the bad guy in
Right?
every movie.
Yeah.
Right? The cinematic masterpiece.
It would have been-
Super Mario Brothers.
Yes.
Which is
Such a good movie.
objectively the greatest movie ever made, I think.
Without a doubt.
I think it's
Inarguably.
it's like #1 in the Criterion Collection, I believe.
Yep.
I've got it on digital media.
Digital video disc?
I do.
No way.
DVD means great movies.
Was that the tagline?
I think it was.
Oh, wait.
I don't know why, but you said DVD, and my brain went, it's in the game.
Oh my god, so did mine! I wasn't gonna say it. I wasn't gonna bring it up, but like, yeah.
It was EA Games. It's in the game.
EA Sports.
EA Sports.
It's in the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So good.
Ooh, that was the tagline, but I probably used that. Like, that cadence.
DVD. It's, what did you say?
Means great movies. Yeah, DVD means great. That was definitely
That's the wrong number of syllables, but yeah.
Right.
No. Like you remember, like in like the VHSs from like
It's
the
in the
late
disc.
'90s, they always had DVD commercials.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And it always had like a scene from fucking Independence Day. It had a scene from fucking Air Force One.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just explosions.
Yep.
Right up there with you wouldn't steal a car.
You wouldn't download a car.
Right.
Motherfucker, I might.
I wouldn't
Give
steal
me
a
the
car.
chance.
I wouldn't steal a car, but I'd download one if I could.
Download the shit out of a fucking car. Are you kidding me?
Nobody's watching.
Nowadays, you can download the STL for a car and print it in a week.
Yes, but a real car that makes it through rain. So not a STL printable car and not a Cybertruck is what we're saying.
Right. Don't get it wet.
That is what they say.
Don't feed it after midnight either.
Okay.
I did not like Brian Cox in this movie.
Really? That's
I did not.
I like Brian Cox in everything he's in.
Fair.
I love Cox. Just
Fair.
Even Brian,
Yeah, I mean Brian Cox is fine, but like
just in general.
just in general, just Cox, man.
I knew a guy named Brian Cox. He's not a physicist or an actor.
What kind of Brian Cox is he?
He was a missionary.
Oh, what do you got to say to that?
I wish that guy well doing missionary with his Cox.
He's dead now.
Oh, now how do you feel? Talked about a dead man's wiener.
You know what? I stand by my statement. I'm going to double down on that and say that guy is doing missionary with his Cox in heaven.
You just talked about a dead missionary's dick,
Listen.
and you were happy about it.
Listen.
You should.
If witch doctors can play around with dead missionaries' penises, so can I.
Dead missionary's dick. Band name?
Dead missionary dick.
Oh,
I almost don't want to because I don't know if I'm going to cut this part out or not. I can't have a band name that's subject to our commitment to dead missionary's dick.
that's probably too much.
It's tiptoeing over the line. Would your mother be proud to hear us say that?
Nah, but we're not making it for her.
Nope. My mom would probably laugh.
My dad would not. But he does not know that this podcast exists.
Well, there you go. Okay, we got to talk about like how fucking absurd this movie was. Like, there was just so much stupid shit just peppered in, and it was just like unbelievable shit. Like, you should have known when you were writing the script that like, well, this is silly, maybe this shouldn't happen.
Right.
Plot holes, like a lot of plot holes, right? Like, okay, they break into this house. It is filled with boxes, like stacked boxes, like somebody either is
Moving in.
maybe moving in, moving out, something like that, but like probably not moving in because like the house is like things are under sheets.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like a vacation home or something like that,
Right.
where like they're not there for months at a time.
It
or
was a
something
lake
like that.
house.
Yes, it was a lake house. Okay, so here's this house that nobody's in, and it's all closed up and shit, but the gas is still on.
Yep.
The water is still on.
Yep.
And the hot water is still on.
Yep.
Like the actual water heater's still functioning. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy to make not that.
No, maybe they had one of them tankless water heaters.
He could have built her a fire. There was like 3 fireplaces in that place.
Yeah.
But no, he had to give her a bath.
Yeah, I think like he randomly goes into the garage and starts like blowing out somebody's carburetor.
Yeah.
Like just fixing up a car.
Which bore no fruit.
Yeah. I think that's just the mechanic in him.
Yeah.
Just, yeah. Well, I have saved the damsel. It is time to get my gearhead fix.
Right.
I gotta
Gotta get my gears off.
rebuild a carburetor. Okay. Oh my god. Let's talk about the boat. Okay.
Oh, the boat.
So we talked about there's a fan boat that the firefighters arrive in when he's like fleeing from the police after he calls Morgan Freeman on a payphone by the observatory. And they flee on this fan boat over a frozen lake, which is pretty baller, to be honest. It's a great scene. But like, what's so fucking frustrating is it starts with like...
It takes him 5 minutes just to go forward.
Yeah, like at least a minute or two of Keanu Reeves like
Spinning in circles.
bald-faced incompetence with the mechanics of this boat and how it works, which I get. He's never
I've never driven a fan boat.
He's
I
never
wouldn't try it tomorrow.
Yeah, he's never driven one before. There's like almost no friction under the boat. The boat can move sideways. Like, it's a very complicated thing to be able to get going. But anyway, he gets it going. And they're going fucking like 75 miles an hour across this fucking frozen lake.
And he's piloting it flawlessly.
Well, I mean, at that point, they're just going in a straight line.
Yeah.
So, like, I get it. Okay, he got it working, and they're going in a straight line at fucking, like, Mach 3. But they come up to the other side of the lake, which we're all, like, openly talking about, like, what the fuck are they gonna do? Because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He whips the fucking
Tokyo Drift.
boat around. Yeah, he does a hockey stop, basically. He, like, whips the boat around and then uses the fan to stop them going in the other direction until the boat comes to a complete stop. And then they dismount. What the fuck? How could he possibly know how to do that?
Right.
After he just spent, like, 5 minutes trying to figure out how to go forward.
And then he quickly like rigs it up to like propel itself, you know.
Yeah, he drops like a bag of gear on top of the accelerator pedal or whatever it is. It's like a lever on the floor,
And then
right?
it takes off, goes a straight line. Why couldn't he do that while he was piloting it?
It was a gross oversight.
It's
Yeah.
fine. Whatever. We're here.
Okay, especially in the beginning of the movie, the green screen was not great.
No,
And I have
it
a note.
wasn't.
I have a note here, sort of to our earlier point about like expectations for the movie. I expected more from like a Keanu Reeves and Morgan Freeman film. Like it was sort of like early 2000s sci-fi channel level green screen. If that sort of paints a vivid enough picture of how cheesy it was and how poorly defined the edges were around the character. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. What else you got?
My main note was just the stupid choices that I felt he was in, which is kind of in stark contrast to what you had mentioned in likes. But I've already kind of like voiced my complaints, so I don't really have anything else to add outside of what I started off with, that I'm not going to remember this movie in a week.
How about you, Jorkson?
I'm trying to think of like specific things that I didn't like. It's kind of hard to like pin down really, because there were elements that I didn't like.
Like boron.
Yeah, and helium, argon.
I would have gone hydrogen for this one, but
Yeah. Well, I like the hydrogen.
don't we all?
Yeah.
But I mean, come on, guys. Bismuth. Am I right?
Right.
Fucking bismuth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would just say like the chosen one syndrome, right? Keanu Reeves, super cool, super smart, super bad in school, super great at making clean, free, renewable energy in his spare time.
Bro,
Trope.
all you need is a Casio. Or a Suzuki, which is, to be fair, probably my favorite jet ski / keyboard company.
Right. Yeah, sure. Yeah, because who doesn't want to buy a car from somebody who perfected lawnmowers?
Me.
Yeah. The scene where he discovers the secret, right? I'm like, that's incredibly convenient.
It's a 90s action movie.
Yeah. And that's why I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
it was 96, whatever.
He also just like left a lathe, like a metal lathe, unattended.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
How many fingers you got, Mark? I count 6, and one is actively bleeding.
Prove it.
I mean, mine's not bleeding anymore.
That's Mark's blood.
Oh, that would explain.
He's down to 5 fingers.
Got it.
God
Got
damn it. I knew. I thought you had something in mind. Is that pretty much it? Are we ready to...
Yeah.
Are we...
We're ready to quote.
We ready? We could quote.
We could do
What
quotes.
are the quotes?
Yeah.
Don Quixote.
Don Quixotes.
How many quotes you got?
Well, I have 7 quotes. Thank you for
Fucking
asking.
A!
Dude.
Yes.
You know what I love about Mark is it's his consistency.
Yeah.
7 every time. Invariably.
That's what I thought you were going to say. Consistency. And
Yes.
So
Also in your bowels. You have very consistent bowels.
I wish I did.
I mean, it's like 7 a.m. every day and 3:36
Right.
p.m. every day.
Like a German train schedule.
Exactly.
Feel
but
like-
those trains are turds.
It's not consistent. It's those like magic 8 balls. I've got one of those things.
You've got 8 balls?
No, it's a.
This is not good.
It's a magic 8 ball, and it tells
Jackson
me.
is losing fingers. He's gaining balls. Mark is very sick.
It tells me the viscosity of what I'm about to knock out,
Ah.
and it never says the same thing.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like this.
It's Russian poulette.
Sometimes it's like this. No, they don't need to know.
No, yeah, I was going to say, Mark is doing some very graphic demonstrations, and he just did the sign language for poop.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Which I learned from the movie Meet the Fockers.
Same.
Got nipples, Greg. Okay, so my quote, I got 2 of them, actually. Round up, though. It's fine. My first quote was probably like maybe one of the first lines in the movie. This is when they were first attempting their hydrogen extraction process, and they failed miserably. The professor, I forget who it was that said it, but someone who was like leading the class, someone who was helping keep everyone on track, said, "We learned something important today. Another thing that doesn't work." I really liked that quote because that's just science.
Yeah, it harkens back to Thomas Edison's, right? Everybody's got their own fucking silly-ass number, but I always heard like 1,400, and he's like, I didn't fail 1,400 times to create a light bulb. I learned 1,400 ways to not make a light bulb.
Yep.
So it's not funny, but I don't know. I liked it. Okay. My next one, total badass move. This is toward the end, Morgan Freeman's character. And did we even mention this? He kills.
Oh, yeah, he straight up shoots the guy.
He kills the Cox.
In like a really cool way where they're ascending in an elevator, and there's just an outside...
Obstruction.
Yeah, basically just like a pulled back shot of the elevator ascending, and you just hear 3 gunshots, but you have no idea who killed who. But Brian Cox is standing behind Morgan Freeman, so you sort of assume that he's...
And Morgan Freeman's got his back to him, and we know that Brian Cox has a gun because we watched him put it in his pocket, and it's kind of like shaping up like we know he's about to kill this guy.
But it was so 90s action-y that you're like, it was obviously Morgan Freeman that
Right.
shot. You like, even without seeing it, you knew it was going to
Yeah.
be Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, and so like he mutters out this quick line, I didn't tell you, Lehman, but your retirement had already been arranged.
And then he just walks away and leaves the dead body in the elevator.
So badass.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, who took the body out of the elevator?
Gremlins.
Fair.
Same guy who took care of the body at the abandoned house.
Yeah.
I think it's just Greg.
Greg.
Thanks,
Greg.
Goes around and throws the old bodies over the shoulder and...
I'm Corpse Greg.
Just lives in a pond.
Corpse Greg, I live in a pond. Corpse Greg. I mean,
Corpse Greg?
he's on stage somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, Corpse Greg.
Corpse Greg.
He's a single guy doing his thing.
Yeah.
know?
It's one of those one-man performers that you see on the street.
Like the modern incarnation of like a sin eater,
Yeah.
that has fallen out of fashion, but we still need Corpse Greg.
Yep.
What's that UK character? Old Greg?
Old Greg,
Old
yeah.
Greg.
Old Greg.
Yeah.
You ever drunk Baileys from a shoe?
He's the guy taking care of the bodies.
Yeah.
Yes, I would wager.
What you got? Jackson.
I have 3, which is to say that I have 7.
Of course.
My first one is from the infamous boat scene. They've gotten in the boat, and Eddie is struggling to pilot said boat. And Lily goes, Eddie, what are you doing? And as they're spinning in circles aggressively, he just goes, the best I can.
That was actually a pretty solid...
Fucking great.
That was a pretty solid Keanu Reeves.
Oh, I've been compared
best-
to Keanu Reeves most of my life.
The best I can.
I've been told most of my life that I look like Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, it's like me with like Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
get Brad Pitt a lot.
Yeah.
Or
Handsome McHandsome face.
Yeah.
You get that a lot, I think.
I was gonna say Heimdall, but that's not his real name.
Idris Elba.
I could see it.
It's in like my physique.
Yeah, if you
Yeah,
close one
yeah.
eye and squint really hard, it's there.
Yeah. And Mark is
Silhouetted?
not in the room.
Yeah.
Then it kind
Right.
of.
And you use a lot of imagination.
Yes, and you also bring Idris Elba into the room. Then it does kind of look like Idris Elba.
Yeah.
How does it feel having friends, Mark?
I don't know. I don't know yet.
He's still learning.
Yeah.
My second line is after they get out of the boat and break into some poor asshole's lake house, and she's like freezing to death from hypothermia because she fell into the lake.
Idiot.
He brings her a plate of sardines and saltines.
It's romantic.
And she goes, "Is this how you seduce all the girls?" And he goes, "No, only physicists with hypothermia accused of being a terrorist."
Romantic.
That's a very like Keanu line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my last one is from Morgan Freeman after Lyman literally is like, yeah, if you're not going to do your job, we don't need you, and you will have outlived your usefulness. And as they're walking away, they do like a Sorkin speak kind of with the camera. And Morgan Freeman goes, "I wish you wouldn't threaten to kill my scientists right to their faces. It would make my job easier."
Yeah. That's a good delivery too.
Just like as one colleague to another, if you could not do that or like keep it to a minimum,
That'd be great.
that'd be awesome. And I'm not gonna like talk to HR about this, but like
Yeah.
I do have the email drafted, and that's not a threat. That's
Right.
just I want a good working relationship.
Yeah. It's just effective communication.
Exactly. Synergy.
Yeah.
Clean off the fucking can opener, before you put it away.
Yep.
That's basically what that was.
Yep.
It's gonna fucking rust.
Wash the mugs.
It's gonna rust.
Wash the mugs, Greg.
Wash the mug. It took me a minute to realize that like the can opener thing was like the wash the mugs thing. It was like it's just a very specific complaint that I like.
Right.
None of my jobs have ever had a can opener. I'm so sorry, Mark.
You keep it up.
I get so sorry.
Look, I don't deal with a lot of can openers, okay?
Kind of feels like you do.
Just because I'm aware of can opener lore,
Is it more than your average use of can openers?
I've opened a can or two.
Fair.
I went swimming with Mark one time, and he did not do a single cannonball or jackknife. It was can opener just
Wow.
the whole time.
Can of tuna.
That's what we called him. Can of tuna.
But you can't can a fish. Well, you can't, because the can of tuna is canned fish. But you can tune a fish, but sometimes you can... Well, no, you can
But
tune
you
a
can't
piano.
pick your friend's nose.
No, but you can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish, but you can a... Just go ahead with your quotes.
We'll burn that bridge when we get to it. Brought to you by Keith Sullivan.
You guys, you pretend like I don't know what I'm talking about, but sometimes I think I do.
Okay. Moving right along. Okay. I have 7 quotes, which is honestly kind of a coincidence.
It is.
It's weird.
It seems to happen an alarming amount of times.
More than you'd expect, right?
Yeah.
Let's see, the first one I have is when they first get to, is it Maggie?
Yeah.
When they first get to Maggie at the
Observatory.
Keanu goes up and hugs her. He knows her, blah, blah, blah. And then Rachel Weisz has never met her, and she's next to him, and she's like, gets it right out of the way, like, tell me you didn't do this, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, of course I didn't do this, yada, yada. And so they're making chit-chat, and then she turns to Rachel Weisz and goes, and you must be the other terrorist. Which was like, I thought it kind of a clever line.
just
like,
delivered so flatly, dude, just so calmly, and you must be the other terrorist.
just a very well written.
Oh,
line.
yeah.
It landed exactly the way they wanted it to. Okay, when they first get sort of like the APB gets put out on them, and all police officers in the area are looking for them. Their faces are all over the news and stuff. They decide to like book it, and they decide to split up, go to the train station, and then they'll like take a train away, and they'll meet there. And so they split up. Keanu gets in this like crazy chase where he ends up climbing the bridge, and that we described and all that shit. Rachel Weisz makes it to the train station, and she is like waiting on him. And she's getting nervous. The train's about to leave. And there's this, like, soft-spoken, what would you call him?
Like a ticket attendant.
Yeah, like a ticket attendant. Yeah, like just outside the train door. And he's interacting with her in this, like, oddly reassuring way. And he's just like, don't worry. He'll be here. We have no indication that he has ever spoken to her about, like, she's waiting for a guy. Or, like, you know, they know anything about her. Just wait. he'll be here. And then when he shows up, he says to Keanu, he's like, what took you so long?
It's so wholesome.
It is. It felt a little like the end of like a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
What took you so long?
what took you so long? Now you've discovered the meaning of Christmas.
Roll credits.
Okay, and the last one is one of the best quotes in the movie. Not to oversell it,
Yeah,
but
good luck.
Fred Ward, as the lead FBI investigator, they're sort of suspecting that there is some higher level government agency that's like doing some of this shadowy shit and blah, blah, blah. And, maybe national security is at stake. And Fred Ward sort of fighting back against that like it's okay to be doing this clandestine shit because national security, he goes, national security doesn't involve killing people. Well, domestically at least. Which was so fucking like heinously on point. Like
all three of us cringed in like the best way. It was like, oh,
such a good line.
how dare you acknowledge that?
Oh man, but I feel like the same filmmakers who are going to make a film where in 1996 the motivating factor is like climate change and pollution are also the people who are going to be like, yeah, and also the CIA killed a whole bunch of people overseas to like control local elections and destabilize countries and do all this crazy shit. Like,
we don't talk about it.
okay, are we ready to rate this bitch?
Yeah.
Riggedy rate.
Riggedy rate.
I'm ready, but I feel like I go first too often. Does anybody else want to go first?
Sure.
Yeah, I think Mark, what do you got?
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks.
I like switching it up a little bit. Jackson?
Yeah. I'm gonna start off by saying, Mark, what do you think?
All right, well, I'm glad you asked. I was waiting for it. I'm going to go 6.1.
Ooh. Okay.
Freeman freckles.
Ooh.
Oh, shit. Something like not even like movie specific, just Freeman specific.
I love it.
That's creative. I like that.
It's in the movie.
Jorkson.
I'm gonna go 6.4.
Oh.
And I am gonna say the unit of measurement with which I will describe my rating henceforth.
This is henceforth is after the hence.
From this moment
Beyond
on.
the fourth.
Is, can you tell that I'm stalling?
He's trying to...
No, this is all coming out seamlessly.
Yeah.
He's trying to work out
6.4 underwhelming Casio keyboards.
Okay. Damn, I've got 2. I normally don't even have 1.
Right, I didn't have one.
All right, I'm going to give this movie a 5.2.
All right.
Okay, so I'm going to say 5.2 Drunk Vices.
Okay.
But my other one is 5.2 Woes.
Both are good.
Yeah.
Well, both are good.
Yeah.
Both are good.
As long as one of them's not driving.
Right. I should put that as an addendum. A non-driving drunk vice.
Yes.
Because she is hilarious. Even in her, like, clearly acting, not actually drunk. Like, she just seems like so much fun.
I love Rachel Weisz.
She seems like she would be a very happy drunk. She seems like she would very easily, like, break out into song.
Yeah, one of those huggy drunks that just, like, loves everybody.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Doesn't puke in your air return vents.
Nope. My favorite drunk Rachel Weisz line is when she very proudly stands up and says, I am a librarian.
That's a good one.
Fucking gold.
She'd be a real ugly car accident victim, though.
Yep. So don't drive drunk.
Even if you're sipping on that berry vice.
Unless it's Mario Kart.
True.
In which case, yeah, maybe drive a little drunk. But
always fun.
But with actual vehicles, probably best not to.
Not recommended.
Okay.
And that's it, right? We're done?
Yeah, I think we're done. We'll kind of pack it up here.
Woo! Woo! Put that away.
Whoa, Colin.
I got one more thing I want to put on the table.
Okay.
It might even be.
What is it? Scene score.
Scene score.
It's good.
Yeah, it was good. We didn't like blow out the speakers on that one.
We didn't, dude. I like the curvature on that.
Pretty good. All right. Colin gave it a 5.2. Mark gave it a 6.1. Jackson gave it a 6.4. That gives us an average score of 5.9.
Respectable.
Yeah. You won't be able to see on the microphone because microphones famously do not transmit images.
It's true.
Fucking travesty.
Bad eyesight.
But every time I hear that, like, I always think of the scene from The Ugly Truth with Katherine Heigl and Gerard Butler when she is on a date with the handsome podiatrist or whatever, and he's like telling her how to be like sexy and kind of catch this guy like over a microphone. And the podiatrist asks if she like baseball because they're at a baseball game, and Gerard Butler says, "Okay, do something non-committal," and she just kind of goes like, "Yeah." Again, you can't see it on the microphone, but like it's really fucking funny. Just like look up that of Katherine Heigl just aggressively throwing her head to the side and like doing this kind of like horse face, like meh. It's really
great.
It's really great. Okay, we had 8 respondents to our movie familiarity survey.
All right.
Our average familiarity on a scale from 0 to 10 was 0.6.
Wow.
So pretty low, guys.
Whoa.
Whoa. Pretty low. So that low familiarity, along with our score of 5.9, gives this a slight punch up to a respectable 7.1.
Wow.
7.1. That's a bit, again, for giving it a 5.1, or 5.2, what I give it? 5.2. I feel like 7.1 is strong, but again, it's the kind of like, it is Morgan Freeman and Keanu Reeves and stuff like that, so like, I do think it's worth a watch, especially if it's available to you.
I think 7.1, because that's what you said, right? 7.1.
Yep.
I think that makes it punch above its weight, but not by a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a hidden gem. It's a hidden rock.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's worth a watch.
It is kind of crazy, like, again, back to the hidden gem thing, it is kind of crazy that, like, a movie with this many names and faces
Flew under the radar.
I'd never even fucking heard of it until I bought it. Like, I saw it and I was like, what the fuck? Keanu Reeves and Morgan Freeman in a movie together? That sounds really good.
And then you find out that Rachel Weisz and Brian Cox are in it. Like, whoa.
Really fucking solid. So, again, even maybe just from that aspect, it is worth watching.
Yeah.
All right. Is that all? Is that all we got?
I believe that's it. I believe we are Laura Dern.
All right, that's all for the All Crap Review. Thank you for listening. If you have any ideas for movie reviews, we have our movie review Google form, which is available on our website. Or if you want to get involved and contribute to the scene score in order to take a peek at upcoming movies, you can also find us on our website. That is tmaab.podbean.com. TMAAB stands for 3 Men and a
Basement!
Or you can email us at 3, that is the number 3, menandabasement@gmail.com. Also, on tour coming up, we've got Shady Facts
Yeah.
coming up.
We don't talk about them often.
We
but-
don't. They're kind of shade, to be
Yeah.
honest. And then we only have one more band on this go-around.
Solo artist, even.
Yeah, and he's all by himself, Corpse Greg.
Yep.
And he goes around and all of the people who die under mysterious circumstances from watching Shady Facts, Corpse Greg will walk around and collect those bodies. And let's just say the collection is sort of a show in and of itself.
Yeah.
I feel like Corpse Greg is like a sticky Bob Dylan. You know, like for me, like I
You're saying Bob Dylan wasn't sticky?
stickier. Maybe.
Fair.
I just get like folk vibes from Corpse Greg.
Oh, like
his-
he's got like a hurdy-gurdy playing behind him while he collects that. He just sort of like hunched over, kind of pulls along behind him as he collects the bodies.
See, I thought Corpse Greg would be like this unassuming middle-aged man who plays like deathcore metal on stage.
Okay. Yeah, I went a different route. But
Yeah.
I thought he was a Spice Girls cover band, so
Fair.
we're sort of
That's
all over
fair.
the map here.
Yep.
very sexual.
It's really hard to pin Corpse Greg down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when you do, sometimes you wish you didn't.
Yep.
Because he's sticky.
Yeah.
All right, they're all on tour now, and you can also find us on iTunes, Google Play,
We talked about bushes one time.
YouTube podcasts. What?
We talked about you can find these things under bushes.
Yeah, you can find us under a bush. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, especially if it's playing from a phone that is currently under a bush.
Yeah, I mean, like if you were to say, open up your phone, go to Spotify, iHeartRadio, something like that, turn on our podcast,
And then leave it in a bush.
throw it in a bush.
Yep.
Then, yes, it will be playing under a bush.
Ooh, okay. Challenge. The first fan that sends us a picture of their phone under a bush playing our podcast gets a shout out.
Boom.
You know what? I'll raise you one.
Oh, shit.
I'll give him a fucking hat.
What?
Oh!
Merchandise?
Whoa!
Merch and dice.
Whoa.
Both merch and dice in the same product. It's a hat. You get a motherfucking hat if you send us a picture of your phone playing our podcast under some bush.
Any bush.
To our email.
You will get a free hat.
Yep.
A frat.
A frat hat. Bat. Sorry, I had to throw another rhyme in there.
Scat.
Scat on a cat.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. That's animal abuse, Mark.
All right. But get yourself a hat.
Yeah.
Get yous a hat.
Don't shit on cats.
And
I'm just gonna hammer that one home. Please don't do that.
Yeah. Disclaimer.
Jackson is really
Concerned.
He's planting his flag on this hill.
Like, just-
I'm right there with you. I'm on that same hill.
Just don't do it.
Planting the flag. And until then, I am Colin McLeod.
Mark Holt.
Action Jackson.
And we'll see you in cyberspace.
Whoa. Resner.
Cat scan.